Before we dive in, a quick note for all our listeners. We are recording this episode during that reflective stretch between the holidays and the new year, the time when things slow down externally but speed up internally. When leaders pause whether they want to or not and take stock of what worked, what didn't, and what still feels unresolved. This is often when the hardest leadership questions surface, not about growth targets, but about responsibility, not about what's possible, but what about what's right. Welcome back to BizBlend, where business, technology, and leadership intersect in real times, sometimes uncomfortable ways. I'm your host Yusuf, and our guest today is Giorgio Natili. He is the head of AI and platform engineering, leadership experience spanning Mozilla, Amazon, Capital One, and OPAC systems. He has played a key role in advancing ethical, human centered AI, including pioneering working in confidential AI, where privacy, trust, and advanced machine intelligence meet. What makes Giorgio's leadership journey especially interesting is that it didn't begin in tech alone. Before AI, he was a professional windsurfer. Before leading engineering teams, he curated immersive music experience as an art director. Rhythm, balance, and flow are not metaphors for him, they are lived disciplines. With that, I welcome Giorgio Natili to the show.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome and thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to have this discussion with you and share whatever I can with your listeners.
Perfect. So let's get into it. So, AI is advancing faster than most leadership models were designed to handle. From where you sit, what is the biggest leadership gap you are seeing right now in organizations building or deploying AI?
One of the biggest gaps that I see is that there is an high level understanding of AI from many leaders and a bias toward AI as a replacement for human beings. This is the most dangerous aspect of the AI evolution that I see in leadership. For instance, there are a lot of companies that are laying off people, justifying the layoff because of the advancement of AI, the reshaping of the workforce. And I truly believe that part of the reason is that, but another big part is that they overrided in the past. And they're trying to to please more the investors rather than anything else. Why I'm telling you this story? Because I think that any level of management, doesn't matter if you are VP, senior director, or manager, you should use AI to the advantage of your team and not as a threat to their job. So I push all my engineering teams to use AI as much as they can. I ask how they are using. I want to see the result. I spend a lot of time on prompting. I do a lot of AI engineering design. I can't design an LLM or a big model, but I can understand how to mix these puzzles. I make my hands dirty. So in this way, I understand what they can do faster and what they can do better. And I don't hide the usage of AI. Actually, I promote the usage of AI in an ethical and responsible way. So my team of 20 can do way more. And this is the key the differentiation. It's not that they can be more productive, they can do more. It's different. More productive tends to make senior leadership to think, okay, I can reduce the headcount, I will get the same productivity. Do more is different. Do more means that instead of spending hours writing a test that definitely an AI tool can do, they can think. They can think differently. They can bring into the equation of whatever system a different approach, a different way of mixing and matching multiple LLMs or reasoning steps or a different way to manage short-term and long-term memory. Because AI is powerful, but we're at a point where still the human brain is the key point to make it exceptional. Because without mixing and matching all the tools and inventing another approach on how these systems can communicate and interact with each other. It's just a tool to generate content.
Hmm. Is that gap primarily about skills, mindset, or incentives?
It's a mix. So there is and I went through it as well, right? There was a time when I was scared of saying, well, I can do this in 10 minutes with AI because you don't want to diminish the value of your work. But then I realized that one thing that is very important, that 10 minutes of thinking as an AI engineer are the equivalent of 200 minutes of thinking in a standard way of solving problems. So the incentive has not been here so far because every time that you open the news, you hear, okay, whoever laid off 200 people or 500 people, 6,000 people because of the AI advancement. So unconsciously, it's creating a bias, right? I use AI, but I don't want to share too much that I'm using AI. So the incentives should come, and leadership should be responsible enough to say, I expect you using AI. I'm not going to fire you. The more you can do, the better it is for everybody. There are so many problems to solve in the world still that we're not running short of that. Now, the other aspects that you mentioned are important as well because the lack of incentives um, also create fear in learning new skills, but even more to admit that they don't know something. So when you don't know something, it's hard to admit in the workspace. If you don't feel safe, say, I don't know, I have to document myself, you're exposing one of your vulnerability. So leaders, and that again doesn't matter which level, as soon as you have somebody that you manage, must make failing others welcome to fail, welcome to be wrong, and incentivize a culture of try, and reset. Of course, you don't want to do the same mistakes multiple times, right? So you have to clearly explain that your expectation is I'm okay with 20 millions of mistakes per year, but have to be different from each other. Because then it seems that it means that we are learning something. When you create this combination, then AI became a tool that will be fully used by your team. Remember that LLMs, specifically LLMs, are non-deterministic. Same input, same LLM can generate completely different output or slightly different. So it's very, very hard to be very, very right about the usage of LLMs specifically and in general AI. You have to embrace this failure and you have to make people around you comfortable in failing and setting up expectation with system teams, with my manager, because every leader has a manager, right? Doesn't matter. Say, hey, I'm going to do these mistakes, I think, but I will learn this, and that from these mistakes. And then you create a culture where AI can thrive and where your team can become a super team. Because this concept, I like the concept of superhumans. Superhumans don't exist, okay? Humans exist, but the beautiful mind of a human being, it's unbelievably powerful if operates without fear. As soon as there is fear, uncertainty, our brain starts to react in an instinctive way. And our instinct, it's thousands of thousands of years old, if not millions of years old, right? And how can be right? So, cultivating this culture of failure welcome, non deterministic um, approach to solving problems and curiosity will help any leader to navigate this transition because this is a big transition that is happening now.
Indeed. You talk about leading with imperfection and vulnerability, but some leaders hear that and worry it undermines their authority. Where is the line between healthy vulnerability and leadership uncertainty?
Well, it's hard to tell you where is the line, but I can tell you. one thing. Recently, I did a consulting job for a company where I was working with a very talented group of researchers and scientists. One of them approached me one day and said, Giorgio, can I tell you something? Sure. If you are not using your authority enough. And what do you mean? And so why in meetings you always find a solution that makes sense from a technical standpoint. You align everybody. You can do the same, just saying what you want. We'll do it. But that's not what I want. So it's very true that there are people that react better to a top-down approach.
Mm.
And that's why there is also a lot of leaders that use a top-down approach where they give working orders. Okay. And this is not to blame them. I'm not saying what is better from a leadership stand. I have an opinion, but I'm not want to judge. Okay. But leading from the back seat or from the front seat give you different results. Back seat, your career will grow, not at the speed of the front seat. Front seat, your leadership will never create the camaraderie that is needed to create a community behind you. As soon as the leader is removed, everything fades. On the other hand, your career will progress slowly, but your connections with people will generate something that is unique, that is magic. The magic moment of every high performing team, where you can step back and the team operates by itself. So the line is really about your preferred style. And I know that there is a lot of people that think, okay, faster career is better. Faster doesn't mean better. Think how many things in life, if done with the right pace, are better. A fast speech can deliver more content than a slow speech, right? But can leave less impact in human brains. Reading a book in 2 days will leave you something. Reading the same book in 4 days will leave reflections. So it depends. And maybe there are times where you have to balance and you have to take the front seat. Happens very rarely in my team that I take the front seat. But if I see them doing a mistake, I step in and say, okay, no, hold on. Let's do X, Y, and Z, and then we'll release it. So the balance should be should change accordingly to the situation. My preferred way of leading is from the back seat, but I don't mind to be on the front seat and make a decision.
It is like a dance between both of the places, top seat and back seat. You have to do both of them very wisely, very calmly. But yes.
Yes, think about a Uber driver or whatever driver, right? When they are driving, so definitely they are leading you to some place that you decided, right? And you have whatever need, like, oh, I need water, I need to hit the bathroom, whatever it is. Now, if they are driving from the back seat, they will listen to your need and they will guide you to a safe place to get water or to use the restroom. If they instead are just moving fast because they want to do another ride, they will stop you whatever, no matter if it's safe or not. Their career, their money is coming faster. But the risk that they're exposing the customer, that is your team, it's higher. So, yes, you have to dance. You have to use your judgment. And you have to try to stay as much as possible on the back so that new leaders will emerge in your team, but be able to jump right away in front when something is going wrong, because at the end of the day, you are responsible of their success.
They're just saying that high performing AI teams often operate in permanent urgency. What signals tell you that innovation is slipping towards burnout?
This is a very interesting question. So one of the signal, it's simply the time to production of a feature. Let me give you a very simple example. If you start to see that to move whatever feature in production, your team is start to requiring more and more time, it means that they are accumulating technical debt. And maybe they are not talking about this technical debt because they are not realizing the impact, or because maybe they are afraid. Because you may be a great leader, but then you may have a CEO that is pushing, or investors that are expecting results that are unachievable, whatever, right? The situations can vary. But in that situation, if you see a slowdown from design, implementation to production, you are clearly observing a rise in technical debt. Why this can burn out people? It's because human brain are very similar to uh, large language models. They want rewards, right? In an LLM, there are rewards function. Our brain is excited when they see result coming through. When they instead see result being blocked or slowing down, frustration arises. Frustration is the first signal of burnout, because if you operate for months, weeks, under the impression that you're not capable of delivering what you want, with a high level of frustration, you will burn out. So this is the first signal to monitor, and it's easy to monitor because it's measurable, right? Again, this is moving from the inside. It's a metric that you can track. The second one, it's uh, the number of times that people that work with you in your team, doesn't matter if they report to you or if they are peers, sister teams, whatever is the situation, the number of times that they speak about a new technology. If you have a team that is never speaking about new technologies, novel approaches, and so on, it means that they are stagnating. And again, you can track this, right? You don't have to be um, really, you don't have to track it in Excel spreadsheet, right? But you can have a sense, right? Okay, it's 1 month that we're not talking about innovation. What is going on? When engineers don't innovate, they tend to or getting frustrated and burned out, or getting annoyed and burn out and decide to leave the team, or there are fears of innovating because they don't want to fail. So this is another signal that you have to monitor. And the other thing is that you have to apply a very simple rule. What is important is rarely urgent. Of course, there are exceptions, right? If a car is coming toward you on the street, you jump on the side, right? Of course, it's urgent, right? And it became very important. You're saving your life. But if you think about your life in general, every time that something became urgent, or almost every time, it's because you forgot about something. Not because that thing became extremely urgent that day, magically. Unless, okay, some exceptions. Apply the same and advocate for your team, and teach them how to balance between the required sense of urgency that the team wants, right? Because you're delivering value for a business. So you want to have the sense of urgency, but also the ability to step back and understand if the urgency perceived from whoever is asking this thing, it's real or it's not real. Because maybe something can look extremely urgent for a VP or a senior VP at a different level, and you as a senior director or VP, whatever, right, have a different perspective, and your engineers can simply say, "Oh no, it's not urgent; it's a configuration file," right? But if you don't create this mental model of assessing if the urgency it's real, you will burn out your team.
There is another belief that the most of the users prioritize convenience over ethics. And if dignity and privacy don't clearly drive user behavior, why should leaders lead with them?
Well, first of all, because most of the users are not aware about the risks that they are exposing themselves. So, if you also speak with a tech savvy person, you will be surprised. Recently, I was at a car dealer. Pretty tech savvy person was helping me searching something on his mobile phone, and I saw him accepting all cookies. And say, "Wait, hold on, do you know what you're accepting?" "Oh yeah, I know. I don't have anything to hide." I'm not saying that you have anything to hide. You have something to lose. That is your privacy, your digital dignity, your data. So a tech savvy, youngish, so younger than me for sure. So a digital native was not aware about cookies. Now, move this to AI. A lot of people treat AI as a confidant. Okay, everybody should use whatever tool, whatever mean to feel better. If it's your tool, use it, no judgment. But please, at least enable a paid subscription because at least your privacy, your data are not used to train another model. And still you're exposing yourself to risk. So people is unaware. Leaders should educate engineers and customers toward this. This doesn't mean that you have to stop collecting any information. You have to responsibly collect information. You have to be transparent. And this means that you can achieve the same results in about the same time. Maybe you will require an extra 10%. Yes, because you want to do a deep dive on the PII or PHI data that you are collecting and understand how you can protect privacy, how you can encrypt, how you can use confidential computing if it's really needed. Yes, but this is a responsible usage of other people's data.
Hmm.
So leaders must do this. It's not optional. If they are not doing it, it's because themselves they are not probably not fully educated about how um, how complicated is privacy, and maybe they never asked to an LLM, "Tell me what you know about me,"
Mm.
because you will be impressed how many things an LLM knows about you.
Giorgio, are there any ways that our listeners can connect with you?
Absolutely. First of all, on LinkedIn, you can search for me and you can ask a connection. I accept almost every connection request. Please don't try to sell me something right away. Happy to jump on a conversation, happy to have a conversation, but LinkedIn is the fastest way. And sooner this year, I will have also my giorgionatili.com website up, but this will take at least another couple of months.
Perfect. Uh, to all our listeners, the link to Giorgio's LinkedIn is in our show's description. Just go and check it out. Giorgio, is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
Yes, please, no matter if you are in a leadership position, consumer position, or implementer position, keep in mind the concept of digital dignity. Protect yourself, protect people that is around you, and ask always the uncomfortable question, what will happen to my data?
Giorgio, thank you so much for bringing clarity, honesty, and humanity into this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been a great conversation.
And to all our listeners, if this episode challenged or unsettled you, that's not a flaw, that's the work. Leadership in the AI era isn't about certainty, it's about choosing which questions we refuse to ignore. If this conversation resonated, share it with someone shaping technology, culture, or both. Until next time, this is BizBlend. I'm Yusuf. Stay curious, stay healthy.